I thought I was done with my last rant. And then I realized one of the really big ones, considering the medium by which I'm communicating with you, is that of internet versus IRL in real life. And tangentially, the concept of trolls, why they do what they do, and why that's just a made-up concept too. The internet is IRL. There's very little in the way of functional distinctions, except that when things get hot and heavy with somebody on the internet, you can't reach out and squeeze their genitals or hug them. But you can't necessarily do that when you're sitting across from them at a dinner table in a restaurant either. On the internet, people can pretend to be anybody they want to be. In a bar, they can too. On the internet, people get to bring elements of their personality to the forefront that maybe they don't in the rest of the world. And in a bar, they do the same thing. In the real world, you get to really talk to someone and see who they are. On the internet, you do too. In fact, money that I've made, ataraxia that she's made, people that we've met, connections that we've made, all the advantages, the disadvantages, friends made, friends lost, all these things have happened with equal gravity on the internet and off. In fact, we exist as a couple because of the internet. And the IRL distinction, well, I mean, I know that sometimes it's kind of tossed about without really meaning anything so real as, like, you know, this isn't real life on the internet. It's become part of our language. It's become part of the jargon of the internet world. And it lends itself to the idea that the internet is not real. And it is. With that distinction in people's minds, people choose to treat it differently. When people choose not to realize that the computer itself is the illusion, that the internet is the illusion, and that they are basically communicating with a real person or a group of real people in the public sphere, just like they would be if they were standing up on a tree thing here, talking to these 600-700 people that are on the other side of the camera. Okay, they're not. But it wouldn't make any fucking difference, except I might have to speak louder, I might need a PA or something. These people adopt a certain behavior. A lot of people adopt certain behaviors. Maybe they get a little tougher, but largely they decide to demonstrate as thoroughly and frequently as they can how it's not that serious, bro, it's just the internet. Don't even need to say it, because they've surrounded them with people who adhere to this philosophy so thoroughly that they can just like create this own little world for themselves where they just don't say shit seriously, they don't take shit seriously, they don't make the connections that the rest of us make, they don't develop the relationships that the rest of them make. They talk about how the internet is meaningless, yet they are on it just as much as the rest of us are, which means they are doing something meaningless with their time in their own eyes, and we are not. It is an insecurity. It is a way of not having to take responsibility for their own actions in their own minds and in their own hearts, not having to put their real selves on the line for judgment. You go on there to be hated. No harm in being hated. It doesn't sting. You go on there to be an idiot. You're just being an idiot. What's the harm in it? But if you go up there and you really try to make friends, you really try to connect with people, and you fail, well, then you have a failure. So, you know what? They're not going to do it. But that is a constant pursuit. It's not just a decision, I'm not going to be serious and I'm not going to invest myself. You know, I'm going to bring up a name here because I do see exceptions to that. I am Solomon. You don't do a whole lot of serious on here, dude. But it isn't with a reckless disregard. It's not like you're trying to make a point out of it. It does seem like it's just like, you know, a little like you're having a little fun. But God, you know, I see desperation in the actions of certain other people. Take a bitter Barbie, for instance. That is desperation to cling to the concept. And what's that, Ryan Carlson or whatever, like, there's some people, I hardly even, like, really read the posts. And it's not because, you know, I don't want to feed the trolls or ignore the trolls. It's just because, you know what, there's just never really that much interesting being said. But the way to deal with trolls, and I have been challenged on this, I've demonstrated that what I'm saying is for real. When you don't feed the trolls, you are making an action based on a response to their trolling. You are doing the exact same fucking thing as somebody who flips out about it. You are reacting to the intent. Sometimes there are great things that can be pulled out of these interactions, this language, these conversations, despite the intent. There are trolls who bring up subjects, conversation that go places, that can go places. If you see that and you don't feed the trolls, you withdraw from some real conversation, then you've let that person do damage to the social dynamic, to the intellectual dynamic, to you. That person has done something to you. You lose. If you decide you don't want to engage because you're just not feeling it, then you're just not feeling it. You're treating it like anything else, and that's great. I have found that often, by engaging on a real level with these individuals others would consider trolls, and God, you have the added element of misidentification. Nobody knows, oh, the way, that's not what a troll is, this is what, who fucking cares? Who cares what the intent is? Respond to the concepts and the ideas as they warrant response. But I have demonstrated, and I thought it was so perfect. And, I mean, some of you listening to me now may remember this. Maznag, if you're watching, Zimix, and anyone who was watching that thread as it happened. I was having this exact same conversation. I was discussing this concept. I was being challenged on the idea that you could actually engage a real troll and pull them out of that and turn it into real conversation. Then along comes Zimix. He's actually a participating member of Ataraxias in my forum now, violating voices. I engaged him in conversation as he came on clearly and explicitly to ruffle feathers. And it took a couple shots, but you know what? Before it was done, we were talking. You know? Those trolls are not like little creatures that live under bridges. They're people. They can be affected regardless of intent. And if they can't be, so be it. Don't overreact to shit, but you shouldn't overreact to shit even if it isn't trolling. And if you follow my words on that, you're doing the right thing. If you disagree with me, that's fine too. You're wrong.